In this video, I talk about ways that you can help to level up newcomers to wargaming. Now, we've all been in this situation. You've got a friend, maybe it's somebody you work with, maybe it's somebody you just know from around, and they're not necessarily a gamer, or maybe they've been a board gamer, but now they're interested in getting into wargaming. They've been listening to you talk about it, you've been showing them models, they've been looking at stuff on the internet, and eventually they get to that jump-off point where they want to now start doing it. That's a very tenuous spot. It can go either way. They might go out to the store and they might buy some stuff. They might take your opinions or your advice. They might look at stuff online. And let's say they buy the same game that you're playing a lot or whatever, and now they're going to start playing with you. And you're happy because more opponents is always good. People to play with is something that we all obviously want in this particular hobby. But like I said, the situation is tenuous because getting into the hobby for the first time can become daunting, as we all know. But when you're just toeing into that daunting kind of situation can push you away and just shut you down right from the start. And then this potential play pal, opponent, whatever you want to call it, that will all of a sudden no longer be interested in playing because of potential issues with kind of getting over the newbie status of wargaming. So what can we do as veteran, learned, old wargamers, what can we do to help them out? Now, the biggest stumbling block for new people getting into the hobby is very frequently the building and the painting. People are used to going and buying something and being, if it's a game or whatever, and pretty much being able to play it right away. And we don't cotton with that. We expect to spend hours and hours and hours having to put together our toys and paint them and everything before we can really go to town. So for most people, that's weird, just FYI. So how can you help get your soon-to-be potential opponent and friend over that hump? One way is to hobby with them. If I was to say to you, okay, you've purchased all this stuff and you got these guys and you got all these tools and all that stuff, I'll see you in 3 months, have a good time. That's not necessarily going to potentially motivate that person into actually getting anything done with all of that new booty that they've purchased and brought home from the store. But if you said, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow night after work and we'll get together and I'll start to show you some stuff and some glue, I'm gonna bring my stuff over and we're gonna hang out and have hobby time, that can be a definite motivating feature that can really get them kind of like, yeah, well, okay, let's do that, because that's an activity in and of itself. The upside also is then they get to ask you all kinds of questions and then you get to answer it right away. If they are doing something by themselves and they're like, yeah, okay, well, I don't know how to fix that problem and I can't find it on the internet. Maybe my friend will know. I mean, they could text you right away, but maybe it's late, maybe you're in bed, who knows. Next time they see you, they may forget to ask. But if you're right there having your hobby time, maybe it's once a week, maybe it's twice or 3 times a week, depending on what your schedules are, the both of you. That's great. That is going to get that person on track quickly. They're going to start doing things. They're going to say, well, what if I do this? You're going to say, no, maybe if you try this or whatever, going back and forth. Beyond that, it's going to help motivate you as well, because you're going to know that there's a tenuous situation here with this person going forward in the hobby, so you want to help and do that kind of stuff. And in doing that, you're probably bringing over your stuff and working on your projects, so you're getting things done. It works both ways, and it's a great way to get newer players moving forward, learning new things, motivated to get these things done, and then eventually you get to start playing. Another great way to get someone rolling on that situation is to do something that's very frequently referred to as an escalation league. What that means is we're going to start out and we're going to work towards a very small army. So let's say you're playing a game where normally you play 1,500 point games. Okay, well, you and I are going to work together until we both have a 500 point army each, and then we will be able to fight and play. Because if you sit down and tell this person, okay, here's the deal, you've got months of work in front of you before you can even play a game, that will turn a lot of people off. It just will. So if you say, look, we just have to get through these guys, and then we'll be able to play, albeit small games, we'll be able to play and you'll get some sort of benefit and, I don't know, endorphins, dopamine, whatever. You'll have fun, and then that will be kind of a goal at the end of the tunnel for getting these guys done. And then the next step after that is like, all right, so we got 500 points done. Now we want to get 600 points or 750 or whatever. You see stores do it all the time. They're basically doing the exact same thing. When a store has an escalation league, they're trying to make sure that you don't buy some stuff and then never come back. They want you to buy some stuff, build and paint that stuff, play with it, have fun, enjoy it, and then buy some more stuff for the next step of the escalation league. It works that way as well when you're just trying to get your friends involved in the game. That kind of pushing forward and doing it so that you've got a goal in reach can always be a big motivator for helping people to keep going forward with the hobby. And it's not just the building and the painting that can be, problematic for first-time wargamers. A lot of times it's the rules. So one way that I like to do it is to make sure, and I've done a video about this in the past, which you can see pachow over here, to not be too competitive, especially when you've got those first kind of training wheels games going with your new wargaming friend. Make sure to sit down and explain things once you get to the playing phase. Okay, well, that might not have been the best move for you. Would you like to try this instead? And here's why. Not just like, yeah, don't do that. No, don't be like that. Just be like, okay, well, that's one way to do it, but you might want to do it this way, and then, explain it. And if they say, well, I think it's better to do it this way, then have them explain why, because now they're having to make that explanation and think it out. Getting the hang of the overall mechanics of the game you've chosen to play, getting the hang of strategy in general. These are things that not everybody thinks about out there in the world. We as wargamers think about it quite a bit, but not everybody does. So helping that person to start to understand and kind of rework the pathways in their brain or whatever that makes them think about these types of things, strategy, tactics, all that kind of stuff, will help that person enjoy the games more, because they won't constantly just be getting, stomped. They'll start to do better and to win. Lastly, one of the best ways to level up your new opponent is, well, frankly, wargaming can sometimes be a bit of a pyramid scheme. So if they can now get people involved, that will then help them to become advocates for the game and to give their knowledge to the next person. And now there's the three of you, let's say. So now you've got even more. And if you can keep growing it and get into a group where this starts to happen, amazing kind of motivational things will change. You'll start to see, especially if you're doing an escalation league, it all relates back to all the previous things. If you have a group of people to get together for hobby night, it becomes much more motivating. I don't know if it multiplies, I'm no scientist, but it does definitely increase the motivation. If you were going to have, if it's just an escalation league between you and me, well, that's one thing. But if it's an escalation league amongst the five of us at this point now that's a big deal. So making sure to sort of spread that out. You've got this person that you've kind of, not crafted, you've kind of taught them, you've kind of shown them the way, you've molded their wargaming prowess to some degree, and you've helped to do it at least, and now you want them to do the same and to kind of, get more people into the group, because then it just helps grow the hobby, it helps grow your group of opponents and people to play with and people to meet and have fun with, and I think it just teaching somebody else about something like this, like wargaming, also really helps to make the game better for yourself, I think.